Good
So
morning.
well prepared.
I
I still need to download that thing.
I was trying to get the timing right, and I'll get there.
It's fine. The fact that you had the book video thing is doing much better than I.
We're all just out here surviving. I was very glad to have this bunny hop. It's a hopped coffee. It's iced coffee, but it's got like a little bit of hops in it.
Apparently, I need that.
It is very tasty. And I try to keep like a Celsius or something in my fridge for in case of emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
Which the emergency is just that I'm like too tired to make coffee. And so I was like very happy to find one of these stashed in my fridge.
So past Chandra was looking out for current Chandra.
Yes. That's, I have this saying, and I know I found it somewhere floating around, some combination of authortube or wisdom, but self-care is doing something nice for your future self. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that was self-care for me. It's just being able to get it together on another day because of something I did in the past. So yay me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just as simple as laying out my clothes the night before.
Oh yeah, because I wear like a lot of matching, I joke and say it's garanimals because it's like, top, bottom come together and you just put it on. That's like my work wardrobe.
I think that's really smart.
But otherwise, like when I go into my closet and they're not there because I haven't like folded my laundry or something, I'm like, oh, what do I do? How do I put clothes on? How do I know what to wear?
Yeah, last night. So Alex and I usually do laundry on Sundays, but he bought some golf shorts and he was going golfing today, so he wanted to do laundry yesterday, which was fine. I didn't care. I wear pajamas on the weekend anyway, unless I'm going out. And but I really, really just did not want to do a thing yesterday. I still cooked dinner, but I was just like, I want to relax, let me relax and stuff. So he did the clothes and he just lays them out. He doesn't like fold mine, which is fine. I don't care. He just lays them out. I'm like, oh, thanks. Well,
honestly,
he was very
that makes a big difference to like prevent wrinkling and having to.
Yes. But I forgot they were there and they were laying on his side of the bed because for some reason when we cleaned out this room, we put it's space. That's why we put my dresser on his side of the bed. So my clothes were on his side of the bed, which is funny that he calls it his side because he ends up on my side anyways. And I get like this much room. But he was like, hey, your clothes. I was like, damn it. Because I was doing a little diamond painting thing and I was so close to being done. I did finish last night, but while I was trying to clean up, more pieces fell out. So I was like, I'm done. I'll deal with it tomorrow. But I had to put the laundry up, and that keeps happening where I'm like, I'm going to be nice and I'll just handle it later, because I don't have the energy right now. But then I also I'm like, I want to go to bed and I'm like, damn it, I still got to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The equivalent of putting dishes in the sink and you're ready to go to bed and you're like, damn it.
Oh, I'm bad. I'm so bad about that. I actually tried to get my house is older, so it doesn't have a dishwasher and there's not a spot to put one in. And the cabinets are so old that if I took them out, like I would just have to replace it because they're pretty beat up. So I was like, let me just find this portable dishwasher. And it was, so they said it was like the size of a microwave. Now,
it's like the drawer ones, right?
It just like sits on your counter like a microwave. But however, they neglected to say it is just it's taller, which they said, but when they say it's the size of a microwave, it's the size of the largest microwave on the market.
Oh yeah, it's the size of microwaves when they were first created in like 1960s.
Yeah, and it's an entire room. So I got it. And then it was bigger, so it wouldn't even fit on my counter. And then you had to like it did not fit everything that it said it was gonna fit. So like my plan was I will load the dishwasher throughout the day and then run it when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Well, each cycle runs for like 2 hours. And then the dishes weren't clean and I couldn't fit all my dishes for the day in it. And I was like, that is
this is
not helpful.
What the hell?
At this point, I'll just wash my dishes by hand, which I loathe. I was like, but it's fine. So I tried it. It didn't work. In theory, it was nice and it was cute and it was fun, but it didn't actually do the work. So that was my adventure with a dishwasher.
Yay. Okay, I'm not verifying all my crap right now. This is not what I'm doing. Google Drive is like, hey, you need to do this. I'm like, nah, I'm in. I got other stuff. Good news. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't remember what we're editing today, but I also know we haven't drafted something in a little while, and I would for our draft.
We can actually draft today. I don't have anything else going on. Like today is not I want to hurry up and get done because I got life to do. Where it's almost like I'm treating writing like a job, and I'm like, it's not a job. It's supposed to be my outlet, and so I need to get back into that mindset.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this has helped. Just having it be like set and having the schedule done. I feel like that gave me some mental space. But I've also been working on my large sci-fi project, and I posted on Instagram about this, but I've been writing flash fictions about like some of the more minor characters just so I can.
Are you talking about your 5-minute flashes where people can?
So that's unrelated. I just did that for funsies.
Okay.
But no, I have had some creatures and some characters that I've been writing flash fiction for. They're more minor characters, but part of it's like their origin story or a part that may fit into the book somewhere. In fact, I think it will fit in somewhere, but I'm just not sure where yet. So I'm building them out through writing flash fiction. And I was like, ooh, if we have time, that would be super fun.
Absolutely.
So that may be part of my challenge is that whatever our prompt is, if we're using a prompt or whatever the case may be, I still have characters in mind that I have to be writing about. So hopefully the words aren't things like microwave because this is fantasy.
We can make them whatever we want.
That would be awkward. I might just use microwave as the character name.
You know what? Microwave is one of the words. We're 1 down, 9 to go.
Thanks. I did this to myself.
And you're just bringing me along for the ride. Hello. I want to select all. There we go. Okay. So I just sent you the flash. Luckily, I had yours already.
Awesome. Because
I love it when that happens.
We know how I'm a mess sometimes, so appreciate you.
See, I'm just worried because I know at some point I stopped saving yours. And I'm like, when did I do that?
I think I got better about it, but I also know like I have somewhere we shared the document. So they're probably still under the shared document when we started.
Yeah. And luckily you use the title in your story. So, and I the way mine is set up, I can always get the title for you. And I can possibly even get the day that we did it. And with those two things, you're able to search your whole document.
Okay, I've got it pulled up and ready to go.
All right. I just realized something. Hold on.
So while you're getting that together, I have a short story to tell about how there was almost chaos yesterday. So I've been studying for an IT certification, and it has two different parts to it. One is a technical, like the internal workings of a computer, like the more of the way it's set up as far as programming and all that kind of stuff. And then there's the more external workings of it, of like, okay, here are all of the components on the
so software and hardware.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a little more than that, because like it's different for each computer. So like how your like there's different. Windows 10 has like for personal use, and then they have for like a small business, and then they have like corporate. So there's, even though it's all the same, there's different functions that you can control from like your control panel, and how users interact, and what permissions people have, and like how all of that works. So you go into like each of those steps for each one, typically, because it's most businesses use Microsoft versus like iOS or something like that, so it's different. And of course we do a little bit of Linux in the program, but not a ton. But then you get to the hardware aspect, and it's not just like the cables and all that stuff. It also gets into your hard drive and your video cards and your memory and all of that, and what they're compatible with, what their power requirements are, and all of that. So part of the studying for this, they recommend a lab setting, but I don't have access to a lab. So I'm like, well, I have a desktop, so I can do some of the stuff. And it needed to be cleaned. I think I've mentioned that it needed to be cleaned a few times. And I was like, well, I can do that. And just to start to familiarize myself with that aspect of like taking things apart, putting it back together. Well, I got my desktop taken apart. So this is the side panel. I took the side panel off, which I'd been like picking at it for a while, but I couldn't figure it out. It was just like, I needed to just take the time to do it. So I did. And then, from some searching, I got the front panel off, which is over here, and dusted everything out. Of course it's turned off, and started cleaning the fan. So I cleaned the back fan because I could do that with the side panel off. But then once I finally figured out how to get the front panel off, I cleaned the front fans. Well, everything was looking shiny and beautiful, and it was like it was so grody when I finally figured it out, because I've had this for like 3.5, 4 years, and I hadn't cleaned it at all. So it was real bad, like real bad. So I get it all put back together, turn it on, and one of the fan at the top is wobbling like hardcore, and it's making the worst sound you could possibly imagine. And it's like right next to my head, so it's not like I can ignore it. Yeah. And so I started doing research, and I was super mad because I actually started to take the bottom fan out and realized I couldn't fully remove it without unplugging it. And I was like, I don't want to get into that right now. This is just supposed to be like me getting more comfortable and familiar with this as part of study. Yeah. So I put it back in. I never even tried to take the top fan out. Tell me why it was the one that was wobbling. So I do all this research about what to do and like what it needs, and everything was like, it's probably a bearing that's gone bad. You need to replace the whole fan. And I'm like, one, I need this for tomorrow because I did this yesterday. Yeah. And so I need it for tomorrow. And two, like, I'm gonna have to order this fan. I'm not gonna be able to use my computer. I was freaking out. So after a little bit of research, I was like, absolutely not. I'm done. So I hit it right here like 4 times, just gave it a really good smack. And it like jostled the fan back into place. And now it's just completely quiet.
The good old love tap.
I was cracking up. I was like, replace this fan my butt.
Oh my God. That is like one of the best. I just saved myself so much money.
I did, but it's like, the 90s, how the monitors used to go out and you'd have to like smack them really hard and then they would like flicker and pop back on.
It was the cathode ray tube. I think that was the right thing.
They were like huge, like box monitors.
I want to say it was cathode ray tube is the full term. That was the thing that was behind it. because the
Yeah.
way it laid out the pixels and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I
Oh
cheated
yeah,
with
that's my original IT know-how is just smack it really hard.
Well, it's right up there with, did you turn it off and back on? So I mean,
It
they're
really
just
was.
and
That's
then there's
my-
the adage of your stuff will not work until you bring another pair of eyes to see it, and then it
Yeah.
starts to act right. It's like, oh no, we're gonna gaslight you.
You know what? It's funny because I've been there too. So when people tell me like this is literally just happening because you're watching, I'm like, I know. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even bothered. I know.
It is a known.
Yeah. Well, now that I've regaled y'all with my tales of woe.
Yeah. By the way, we have short stories this go around, like real short.
I was noticing that.
Okay. Just
This'll be
letting
fun.
you know. Which
But
means,
that means we have more time for drafting.
yes. And it's been a while since we drafted, and we are going to draft today. So stay tuned. But for now, editing is the way that we step into the story, refamiliarize ourselves. And when they always say you're supposed to rest, like let your story rest before you come back to it, almost to the point where you don't remember it. I can tell you that's the case with Chandra and I, since it's usually been over a year with these stories, especially with us cutting down to like once a month now. Like there's stories that we haven't even touched in like 18 months.
Yeah.
And since we started this back in 2022, I think is when we started. Yeah, that sounds about right. No, it might have been 21. And then it ended in 2022. Yeah, it started in
21.
Oh, man, we're almost been doing this for a while.
Kat, that's so relatable.
Oh, I totally relate, Kat. Where
mine is now diagnosed, but
yeah, I don't remember anything an hour after writing it. Yeah, I know. I'm still working on like my second chance romance, and I'm in that middle part. Like I'm at 11,000 words. I was able to knock that out in like a week. Like it was real quick. And now I'm like, I know what needs to happen next. I need to sit my butt down and just do it. But at the same time, I also don't know what needs to happen next. Like, so I got to unfold the outside conflict of how some people got some information about our main characters that is going to jeopardize their chance of guardianship of the children, that their fake relationship being to take care of because the main character's sister died. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, so we'll see.
Dobby and his little murder mittens over here wants to sit in my lap and make biscuits on my knee with his claws.
Do I need to bump this timer up to 15 minutes just so you can actually finish?
I'm gonna put him down because he will not stop clawing me, and I can't. I know he's not gonna love that, but
yeah. All right, are we ready?
We are ready.
Okay, 10 minutes for Chandra and I to read each other's stories, make comments, and then we're going to come back, talk through the comments, and then we'll set another timer, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, for us to implement the comments and see how much the story's changed. So 3, 2, 1. We made it. Okay. Wait. My last comment was kind of long. Well, you had to read a longer story than I did. This was odd. One of those odd ones where I wrote more than you. But when you analyze the prose that you did, it kind of makes sense because your character is pompous. So
I don't recall.
I remember this character now because it became a character that I wanted like to write a payback flash fiction on.
Oh.
I remember that just because he was so freaking pompous, and I've had professors like this asshole. So. Maybe not to this extreme, but pretty darn close.
That sounds fun to edit.
Yeah. No, that wasn't what I was going for.
I did that last night with something when I was working. I was like, I didn't mean to do that. You know, like when you reflexively click something, and as soon as you click it, you're like, that was bad.
Yep. That, like, it's like Hagrid. Didn't mean to say that. Didn't mean to do that.
Right. So, do you want me to start with your story?
Yes. One moment. I just got to pull it back up. Okay. Sure.
So, I wrote this comment after I finished reading everything. I came back to kind of pull it all together. I'd like to know why the main character is so angry with her mother and what is actually happening. The reason I say that is because there's not a resolution. So I don't think both of those things need to be answered, but I feel like one of them does.
Yeah.
To give it a little more resolution. Let me see. So there's a couple of points too where you say something like, Faith plopped next to me. Where are they? Because there's not really any, I guess I didn't spell this out.
We
but
got
not
white
really
room syndrome.
Yeah, there's no
Hello,
setting.
My old friend.
It'll be like that. And then I did highlight hand because it seems like most of the gestures that are described are relating to one that, like, Faith placed her hand over mine. Faith pulled her hand back. A hand touched Mindy's arm. Not a bad thing, but could be spread out over different senses to give it a little more variety. So I just pointed out that those are there because this isn't a super long story. It's 314 words. So I snapped my head to look at instead of I snapped my head to my best friend.
Yeah.
There's also this part here. Men's body spray is cheaper than women's. Your mom is probably trying to lessen the cleaning product fumes. I don't understand that part. It seems like the implication is that her mom is working more to make more money. I don't understand why she would be trying to cover up the fumes of cleaning products, because maybe she's been like cleaning at home or maybe she's been cleaning somewhere else. It seems like it's extra money spent on something that could be explained away in other ways versus spending money and then having that be the misunderstanding of like, oh, it seems like your mom always comes home smelling like cologne and I feel like I'm doing all these things that my mom should be doing. And I think
cologne started because it was one of the words.
I figured probably so. I don't think it necessarily is a bad thing to include, but the reasoning behind it, I think, is what I'm questioning more, because I think
it could be worded of like your mom is trying to mask the fumes of the cleaning products,
But I think the other explanation could be that she is actually working with another man, but it's like not with another man, but she could be working with a man, but they're doing like the same work. Like maybe
Yeah.
she's cleaning, she's part of a cleaning crew, and he has really strong cologne. So even though, because I don't see someone in that position spending extra money on cologne to cover up.
Yeah,
the smell.
they wouldn't.
Yeah, it just seems like, she would try to maybe hide it that she's cleaning a lot at night, but that maybe someone else that she works with.
I can work with this. Actually, I got an idea of how to fix it based off what you said. If someone just is really wears it really strongly near her that she works with. So
yeah. So I think it's a good note, and it's something that a kid, especially someone who's having a parentified role when they shouldn't be, would be offended by and find problematic. So I think that's a good note. I did also mention here whose hand, because it's just like, we talked about the white room syndrome, but it's like an ethereal hand stretches out and like, well,
and I think didn't I have Faith? I think at one point I had her eyes closed, and I was kind of doing like third person acute.
Okay.
So
I may have missed her being closed.
No, I don't have her eyes closed at one point.
Okay.
Or looking away or anything. Because the last thing I looked at my best friend then.
Okay. Well, it could also be that you intended to write it and it just never
left your brain. Did you notice I went from first person to third person?
Sure didn't.
How to fix that? Like, here's the point right here.
That's hilarious. And I definitely did not pick up on that. So,
good times.
It was a smooth transition. I'll give you that.
If anyone's questioning their first draft stuff, like, here you go.
Yeah, it do be like that. Yeah. Oh, and then also this was one of the words that we used, and I just recommended switching it out.
At this point, and that's what I love about editing. We can be like this word sucked.
Yeah.
It worked in yours, but
and that's all I have.
Yep. I gotta reread this to remember what it fully is about. And then I can probably fill in from there. So okay. So yours. Immediately when I saw diction, I was like, I remember the story right away, but maybe for the reader who isn't familiar, you could start your story describing like a raspy, deep voice echoed through the lecture hall or something to give it a setting. Because we have all this dialogue right here of he continued, he said, and I'm like, where are we? So we both suffered from the white room syndrome. And later I do give a hint of like, hey, if you want to like still have this shock and awe of the tape off the girl's mouth being peeled off, describe everything else. How is she sitting? How are her eyes going? And then like, is her head nodding or shaking or anything like that? Or is she shaking like or if her hands were free, you could describe what her hands are doing or something, and stuff like that. But kind of like you can describe everything that you can to make it seem neutral, and then like go, actually, you're bound and muted. Awesome. That worked. Oh yeah, this was just me being funny. I always catch myself initially reading the colon as colon.
Same scenes. Yeah.
Like who the hell planned that? I'm just saying. At this point, at the end of the second chapter, I was like, I was commenting on your character prose here of like, it is very clear how pompous and, let's face it, an asshole this guy is. Like, he's talking about, some would call it snooty, and it's like, no, yeah, it is. It's not just like, oh, we don't know the language like you do. No, you're freaking snooty, dude. STFU. All right. And then the next point. Oh, so by the third paragraph, I was saying, by this point, I'm curious. Is it first person Or third person, who is the guy lecturing it? How many people? Where are they in the room? How do they feel? And that's where I was going into. If it's first person, you can go inwardly, but and you could still have the surprise, by the way. But if it was third person, you could still have their tension shown by sitting rigidly or something like that. Oh, and then this part really like tripped me up. It said, "Oh, don't cackle at that." I'm like, they didn't do anything. Like, it just felt it's that we only hear one side situation.
Yeah.
Like it was a phone call or something. And then this was me being fancy or whatever. I was like, what if the story started with him cracking the crop on the desk, and then the girl places the duct tape on her face, showing conditioning and stuff. And then he goes on this tirade. Also really curious what she is reciting. And then I had an idea. I was like, oh my God, what if it was one of his past works that she's reading and he's calling it trash? And that was just me being evil. I said, root of this, I need more environment, more other person. You can hold off the duct tape and such, but by describing if she's rigid, eyes darting, locked on him, etc. So
that makes sense.
That's usually the way you and I describe each other's work. It's just, I need more.
I mean, if the shoe fits.
Yeah. So, underwriter, anyone?
It's me.
Hi.
I'm the problem.
It's me. It is truly a 2-person quote. It's like the old Geico commercial. We always go, ew, seriously? So gross. We play off each other on that.
I have a good idea of where I want to go with this. So,
ooh, yay! I love it when our ideas work. All right. Yeah. Come on. Exit full screen, and then we're going to excuse you. Stand by. Technical difficulties.
More caffeine.
No, there is an available window, dum-dum. Bite me. Okay, fine. We're doing 30 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
If we get done before that, though, you know.
Yeah, we'll chat. Oh, stop it. Okay. Why did you change again? I did not give you permission to. Okay, fine.
This really is like trying to fight you.
I'm gonna fight. Take this outside. Listen, 1 drop of water, you're down. Okay. You got hydrophobia, dude. Oh, wait, I started that. Pause. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, and then add 2 more seconds. Time is up. Oh my God. It's going to kill me. I just know it. Will you stop? That was not my goal. Okay, cool. We're getting there. Okay. I added a bunch more words to mine. I'm sure you did too. Let me see what I'm at.
Okay, so there is one part that I really wanted to include, but I was already pressed for time, so I'm not. I got the idea in there, but I'm not sure about the verbiage, if you will.
The what?
The
I gotta learn
verbiage.
a new word.
The verbiage.
Okay. I was like, what word are you saying?
I'm just being dramatic because I've been writing some pretty dramatic dialogue. I added a lot of setting and differentiated some more characters. So I'm excited with the direction. Also, this guy is awful, and I'm really enjoying that for me.
So he's asking questions right now. Hold on.
Also, I saw that Shannon was here. Hello, we miss you too on Saturday mornings. We did discover that neither of us are super early risers, and Natalie was going to have to be up at before 7. We would have to be starting at 7 to make 7 Central to make our usual time, and that just wasn't going to happen for either of us. So, but I think we do miss that time. It was
nice.
It was. Yeah, I know. I felt like it was good. It was good. I think it was easier to be consistent too because I already had stuff on that day, and it's on Sundays.
It definitely was a good structure, and I think that's why we were able to do it weekly. But now on Sundays, it's like that's the days that we usually have other things planned, so it just makes sense. We'll do it in the morning.
Yeah. But I do miss it too. We got a lot done when we have that schedule.
All right. So you read my story first or made comments on my story last time. So I'm going to read yours first. Okay. We'll go through it. All right. I felt the humiliation for her. There was nothing worse than bungling. Is that how you say it? An answer to the professor in front of the whole class. I waited for the angry tirade I knew was coming. Holding my breath, she was seated a few rows away from me, but I kept my eyes trained on the front of the class, hoping if I was still enough, he wouldn't notice me. Diction, fundamental to proper communication. A strong understanding adds color to the written or spoken words. Worlds we weave. A cologne of language for intangible feelings of thoughts expressed, he said. His voice rose and fell as he spoke, a skilled orator teaching his craft. I didn't dare glance at the other students. It wasn't a large class, but the rustle of shifting clothes implied I wasn't the only member of the captive audience. I see what you did there. Who was paying close attention to our instructor. To some, it sounds snooty, but to others, without it, they would be a leper, a pariah, distinguished by their lack of poise. Here lies a great irony. Either judgment is based on lack of understanding, which breeds fear. You, my pet, are filled with fear. The room was dimly lit. The cold center block walls providing the barest reflection to the light of the projector at the head of the class. His voice was sonorous and deep. But the smile could be heard in his tone. He was enjoying this. This is, of course, anger, he continued. Perhaps at being excluded. Others declare that it has no impact on them at all. There was a sound from somewhere else in the class. Another student shifting in their seat, sniffling, perhaps some tears. My stomach clenched. Surely it wasn't the same student. Oh, don't cackle like that. It makes it sound like you are low. No, speak however you like. It's more important that people understand you, whatever your walk of life. That is a gift. But what ghastly sounds pass from your mouth, other than speech, that is within your power to control. The sound echoed again, but clearly it was a sob. I wanted to elbow her, warn her to be quiet. It was unwise to draw any more attention when he was in a mood. This time, when you speak, don't make it sound like you were shooting fish in a barrel. I know. You must not try running before you walk, but try to be imaginative. Darling, you don't want to be made invisible by your own diction. This time, I did glance to my left. I was sure he wouldn't notice me. I watched as he peeled a span of tape off the girl's mouth, then snapped his crop hard on the wooden desk. A frightened gasp escaped her lips. Again, he ordered. Purple, a combination of red and blue, she said, her voice wavering. Some might call it the assigned text purple, as it is overly flowery. She paused. Go on. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't realize it was your article when I wrote my response. Oh, I love what you did. He cracked his whip on the desk again, then leaned close to her face. I didn't ask if you knew who had written it, did I? Go on. I could hear the emphasis on the T, K, F, and D. The phantom feel of spittle licked my face, and I flinched at the thought. I wonder, her voice went on, wobbling as she spoke, if the author, as purple as his prose, red from embarrassment and blue from the lack of oxygen the pompous ass must be experiencing. I'm still not convinced, Lucinda. You have made it past the first paragraph, and I'm not convinced by your delivery. Do it again. I love this 10 times more. I didn't think it was possible. Oh my God. Like it is this is like the perfect example of how your choice of words per character helps shape the character. And this is like a full, because we're coming from 3 people. We got somebody who's observant and watching this, and which we know they probably have been through it themselves, because they're almost like in their mind coaching the girl that they can't fully connect with. And then the girl herself, in how her choice of words and stuff like that, she's in her response to his paper, which is just, I love where he's purple because of red and passion and blue from lack of oxygen. That was beautiful. I love that one. But the word choice for each of them is just so clear into their character and puts a glimpse into it. It's just perfect. And almost even conveys how someone, you get someone's true honesty of how they feel about stuff when they don't know who they're critiquing, you know? And it's that's a thought that crossed my mind. But I love this.
I'm with Shannon on the voice acting that you did. That was great. I was enjoying it because I was like, oh, I wonder how she's going to read this.
I have to admit, when I read to Spencer each night, I'm totally acting out all the characters. I will also admit I do accents, and I'm just glad that no one is there to cancel me from reading to my son, because it is horrible accents. It's definitely not politically correct ever. So but yeah, this, I had fun. It was the fact that I already had a feeling, because keep in mind, it was my first time reading it, but I already had a feeling based on the characterization of the girl before she stood to read. I already had this idea of her being scared and shaky. So that's what I put into the voice. And then you said her voice wavering.
Yeah.
And I already had the idea of this guy being pompous and stuff. Of course, it's also been a second read on his part, technically. And that's where the wavering came. And then your description came. So it's like, I'm just saying your description of the voice matches exactly what at least this reader was thinking already.
Well, I'm glad that came through. I thought that your suggestion about the crop on the desk was good. So that was kind of, I took that, and this was the direction that I took it in based off of that suggestion.
I love this. Like,
that'd be fun.
It is perfect. Like, I would love for this to be expanded upon even more, but it still does well. Standing alone as its own flash. Like, it is awesome. So
that was a really fun write, and I'm glad I was able to add all of the setting too without giving away. But I did have really fun when I was like, captive audience.
I know. Like, just knowing already, I couldn't help with my side comments of like, I see what you did there.
Yeah. that one was a freebie. That was a gimme.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. That was awesome. How many words did you end up doing? Like, you were pretty, I think you might be longer than mine now.
It's now at 625 words, and I think it was like 300 something before, so I about doubled it.
Yeah, you wrote less than I did, and now you've written more than I did.
Hi, Eva. It's good to see you. Hi, Eva, dear.
So yeah, I got nothing more to add. Like, you took exactly what we were talking about and went with it. Yeah, you wrote like 100 more than I did, by the way.
That was a fun edit. I'm really glad we did this.
That was a fun read. I had fun with that. The characters were so clear. I didn't really have to try.
That's nailed it. All right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read yours now. Your edit. Mothers, who needs them? I said. Come on, Mindy. You don't mean that. Faith plopped next to me on the old plaid couch in my grandparents' basement. It's where we've been living for the past year after Mom decided she couldn't live with Dad anymore. She never asked me or my siblings if we didn't want to live with Dad. He moved us here and never spends more than 6 hours here during the night. I declared it today. I do not need my mother. I cook, clean, raise my brothers. Mindy, your mother taught you how to do all those things. She took you to her housekeeping jobs over summer break. Faith placed her hand over mine, squeezing gently. My brother's laughter echoed from upstairs. Gran and Gramp must have given in on them playing video games again. I cackle. Are you kidding me? I'm self-taught. I conquered my oven fear when my hunger was too much. My mother treats me like a leper when she comes home each night. She thinks I'm asleep, but I can still smell cologne on her, probably rubbed off from some date at Whiskey Barrel. Faith stood from the couch, her dark outfit almost blending with the peeling wood paneled walls. The lone light from the small basement window near the ceiling didn't help either. I have something to tell you. I snapped my head to look at my best friend. When she didn't answer right away, I asked, what? Your mother isn't going on dates at Whiskey Barrel each night. My parents hired her to clean when they close. I point my gaze at her. How do you know this? We're both underage. Faith sighed. I heard them talking at 3 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I went to their room. I stayed in the hallway just outside their door when I saw the light on, but I still heard them. They were angry that some regular copped a feel. It is a shared parking lot, so it's not quite private property, according to the cops. Mom and Dad couldn't ban him entirely. It didn't help that the customer's snooty wife thought your mom came on to her husband. I shook my head. That doesn't explain her smelling like cologne multiple nights, long after I've fed and bathed my brothers since they, I point upstairs, can't come down the stairs anymore and go to bed at 6. I remember spending the night. I know, but your mom, face shrug. Come on, don't you remember us helping my parents restock the kitchen? Benny smells like a brand new car refresher every day. We smelled like leather until we took a shower. The words echo in my mind, but my gaze slid past Faith to the wall. The grains of wood on the wall looked like light pencil scribbles. So many things, lines to make a picture. Was I wrong? Why did Mom hide this from her?
Me. Whoops.
From me. A hand touched my arm. Faith had sat back down on the couch with me. Hey, Faith said, your mom loves you a lot. She may not say it, but I think her actions speak louder than her absence. Ooh, I think that clears it up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get why she's left, why her mom's not talking about it, where they are. It's they're at the grandparents' house, so explaining kind of a more dated environment. The siblings. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes good sense. I
was definitely proud of this one. I also was proud of myself. For anyone who knows, I still need to jump back into it at some point. But I did a counter to cliches reels, as well as on TikTok, and I wanted to say actions speak louder than her words, and I was like, nope, that's a cliche. What word are we going to throw in there?
I thought that was really a really good choice, and not only does it suit the story, but I think it's a good contrast because also her mom's not saying anything. So it's not even like she's using a lot of words to describe the situation. She's just quiet and she's gone. So I think it makes really good sense. And also why she wouldn't want to talk about it, because you don't want to tell your kids that you're in that kind of a situation. She doesn't want to explain why they're not living with their dad anymore when it's kind of it's implied but not stated. Which I think
that's why I like this story. I really like stories where it's like from this perspective where someone is not fully grasping the situation, usually a child. Mm-hmm. And as an adult, you read it and you're filling in the blanks. Like it almost moves you more because you're not being explained to exactly what's happened. You're filling it in going, oh, she's working like multiple jobs, living with her parents who are obviously old and everything and can't do much.
They understand the situation. They're able to provide a place to stay, but that's pretty much it. Everything else is up to her.
Yeah.
Also, I liked the Benny smells like a brand new car refresher. But like we all know exactly what Benny smells like.
Oh yeah.
that was great.
Yeah. That was I had fun with that one because everyone can picture the guy that's just a little heavy-handed.
Yeah. So I think this was really good. It cleared up a lot.
Yeah. I just had that one issue where why did Mom hide this from me? Because I had to pick a POV.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got through it and updated it. I feel like there's sometimes when you're just working on something and you just like it naturally slips over and it's like, whoops. But yeah, I like this. I think we had a really good.
Like this is like the most fun editing I've had in a while.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think we both made some really good choices with the editing.
I gotta run 2 seconds. Apparently Spencer went potty and I don't trust him to clean himself properly.
Trust but verify. So today we decided to do some we did after the edit, we actually want to do some drafting, which we haven't done in a little while just because we've had so much stuff going on. And one of the things that I wanted to work on just for my drafting, I want to do some flash fictions for the fantasy project I've been working on. And I had a little bit of time to do a timeline in World Anvil. World Anvil has updated their timeline maker timeline system a lot, so it gives you a good bit more wiggle room, and I was able to do some really fun stuff, and it kind of gave me a better picture of what I needed to work on for my flash fictions, the characters that need a little more building out. A lot of them are not going to be a lot of them are going to be in the story. Some of them are not going to be in the first book. Some of them are going to be in different books, but I need to know this about them before I can write from where I am, if that makes sense. So I'm just writing flash fictions about some of the characters, so I have enough setting to start from where I am without getting overwhelmed or over involved in like writing too many different things at the same time. And yeah, so that's what I'm wanting to do in the next flash fiction drafting, is to write something specifically for a project. So I guess that's kind of my challenge, is even though we are...
Pick a current work.
Yeah.
I can do that with my current work right now too.
Yeah.
The question is, do I want to do like a flash fiction that's kind of like just exploring the characters more, or do I want to do a flash that's like actually going to end up being in the story?
And that's the thing. I've written a few already, and I've like within the first little bit already moved them into a chapter or something like that as part of a scene. So I've already found it very helpful. And yeah, I've been using that.
I'm gonna do that.
It's been a lot of fun. And so I'm just pulling up my timeline here that I've been working on, because that kind of has informed what
I've had to put this in a few times. Like, so my timeline is technically a month is what this is covering. And then I guess there might be a like an epilogue at the end.
Ooh, love a good epilogue.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, right now I'm on day 12. And we've had lots of, like, I am doing a slow burn because it's a second chance romance. And it's a fake relationship. So it's like a, which I've seen back and forth on people who are like, they're like, don't describe your book to me in tropes. And I'm like, but like, there's people that like those and want books that have that. So how do I?
I mean, I've seen it both ways. Regardless of how you decide to do it, people are going to complain. So you might as well, if you like describing it that way, do it.
Yeah.
I honestly like knowing a lot of the tropes, because even when someone tells you the tropes, you don't know how it's going to play out. Like, I asked a question on Threads about, people's views on dark romance and consent, because it's not a genre I've typically read, because a lot of the common tropes in dark romance I find to be really, really cringe. And through asking that question, well, first of all, some people got big mad about it, which I was kind of surprised by, because I didn't express a position one way or another. I was just asking a genuine question, because every bit of feedback I'd seen on it was, Shannon, you're right. That's how we recognize it. So my opinion of dark romance was pretty negative based off of the tropes that I'd already seen. And I'm like, is this how everyone feels about it? And then I got some...
That's the way I've been. Dark fantasy is a genre and everything, but like the tropes that would be in dark fantasies definitely could play into not liking it. Like for me, I'm starting to realize I'm not big into epic fantasy. Like, it's really hard for me to have, which is funny because I can totally do a portal fantasy, which is just like an epic fantasy, but you just add the real world at the beginning. I don't understand my mind, but anyway.
Well,
but yeah, like, you don't like dark fantasy based on.
Well, and that's
like,
what I thought.
You're starting to think you don't.
But some people gave me recommendations, and then I'm not saying I'm sold on the genre, but the one I've been reading, I read 3 books in 3 days. And I, like, there are parts of it where I'm like, I want to throw this entire character out the window. However, it's acknowledged within the story that what the character is doing is not okay. and I know I've been really vocal on AuthorTube about my thoughts on Christine Behan's Dark Prince or whatever it is series.
Yeah.
And how it's like my problem is when something is portrayed as being romantic when we all know it's not. Like if we can't even acknowledge that the character's behavior is repugnant, then I can't, like, I've lost, it's not romantic anymore. So I was really pleased to see that, like, even though there's a character who behaves very badly, we are all aware the characters both know, or not both, but all the characters are aware that this character is
we're not accepting the behavior. We're labeling it and going,
yeah. And that doesn't detract from there being romance in the book. We're just aware this ain't it. And I'm cool with that. I can read a lot of really, stuff. Exactly, Kat. Like, as long as it's being recognized when the characters are evil or wrong, I can still read it. But when we're going to pretend like this is fine, now I'm uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm reading this and I don't want people to think that I'm okay with it, but also, like, I don't want to get to the point where I feel like I'm okay with it or it's normal.
Yeah, don't make it seem like this horrible behavior is okay. Like, at least have someone be the voice of reason or call look, like in the South where they say call the baby ugly. Like, can we call it ugly?
Yeah, that's what I want. That's why it's not the only reason, but it is one of the reasons I like it. But also there are some tropes that are going to be triggering for people. And so you can put content warnings on stuff. Yeah. But people, like, you don't want to label it with tropes and you don't want a content warning. Like, get out.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Like, actually, I was reading, I started reading The Devil's Waltz by Jesse Elliott. So it just got released, and I'm trying to be a good person and read our fellow authors' books, and then I make sure to put feedback and stuff. So I've done 2 this year so far. Now I'm on The Devil's Waltz. And the first was Legionnaire, and then it was Down the Well. So Devil Waltz, what I like is that in the trigger warnings, it says depiction of essay, then in parentheses, not between the main characters. And that doesn't ruin it for me.
Because there's so many characters in a book.
Yeah, and now I'm like, I wonder who. I'm like, when's this going to happen now? And so it kind of, I mean, not to be excited for essay, but like to be like, when's this going to happen? How is this going to unfold? How's it going to affect the main character? And I'm having the fun little.
It makes you suspicious of all the characters. You have that like added.
True.
And yes, I think that's part of where it came from, like Wattpad and AO3 and stuff like that, where you that's how people found your stories, from tropes and tags. So I feel like it's just a filing system.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't mean everything is the same. Okay, like you can still be unique in the story. Like, still please write it. I want to read it. I have to admit, while I've been writing this second chance romance, I was like, can someone already have written this already so I can read it?
That's how you know you should be writing it, to be honest.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I slowed down, I will admit. Like, I think I only wrote 1,000 words last time you checked on me.
I am.
Okay, so today we're going to write flashes with our current works, current characters, and I think this flash is what. So with that, do we want to read them out loud, or since they're going to be a part of current works that could be
that's a good
released?
point.
It is a first draft though, so things could change.
And there's a possibility that it won't end up in the project if we're just fleshing stuff out.
Well, for me, this one would end up in the project, but probably not exactly as it's about to be executed.
Maybe we don't read them and we just talk through kind of the high level what we did. Yeah, that
sounds good. All right, let's. I think it'll be good. I'm gonna either you or I. Let's grab one of our fellow author tubers.
A timer.
Countdown timer.
I can do that.
Okay.
Why did they change this? The layout was
God, there's so many things that I want to read.
I've been
I keep on getting notifications for Kindle Vila, and I'm like, that's been on hold for a while. I got a big, like, my book list for the year of like to be read. I know I'm not going to finish it. I've already accepted that, but we're at 112 books written down right now that I'm like, read these, stop adding, like try to dwindle it down.
Yeah. Did you want to do the Pomodoro, so do 25 minutes?
We can do that. Yeah.
Okay. I got the timer.
So this is something that's really helped Chandra and I think it even helped me, is through the flash fictions of these like quick prompts and such, we've gotten less afraid of the blank page and such, and we're kind of just like, get it down. I have to admit, I'm resorting back to old ways with making this novel now, but at the same time, it's okay because at least I got Chandra here to push me. But
I find like it helps a lot when like just talking about the background of the story and what we're working on, because then we actually have to like do the work.
Yeah, which speaking of work, we have other books in mind and stuff that we need to make sure we work on our mental deadlines. We did write them down.
Yes.
On deadlines at least. So we'll get that. But until then, second chance for me. Oh, and here's the other thing. I did write, like, I wrote 2 sentences on what I've called Riley's Lament, which is the older child. He's like 15, I think I put him as. Yeah, he's 15 because and such, and like he's moody. I'm reliving my like grunge goth days through him. But I wrote like just a quick blurb of like his turmoil and when it actually comes to light of like what he's struggling with. Mm-hmm. And then when the main characters are finally admitting their feelings to each other and also the pain they caused each other and recognizing that, that's already written right now because it was just on my mind. And so those 2 things are just floating in the chapters until I can actually move them in their home.
That's fair. I mean, it's kind of hard to do when you're like doing that, but then once it's done, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah. And actually, as I write more, I think of more things to throw in at the beginning of like them admitting feelings and trying to get through. I still think I'm going to have an issue after I let the story sit. I'm going to have an issue of like the white room syndrome. So the question is, if I'm going to want to go through, edit it myself, and then send to alpha readers, or if I want alpha readers, then I'll edit. So
I think maybe go through it once yourself, just like a really quick pass through, and then Kat said, I need to, I guess I could pull that up on screen. That'd be easier for me to read.
I got it. Oh, we both clicked.
I need to organize my brain so I can get caught up on school and lessen my anxiety. Big mood. But also writing. Got shift covered because my colon is rude and causing me. I'm sorry. That do suck.
Yeah. Oh, that was me. That was me yesterday. Upside though, I've lost some pounds. I didn't like how I lost it though.
Honestly, I was feeling a little funky yesterday, and then work got crazy. And I'd already taken some ibuprofen, so it was fine. And then because of that, though, it was like enough distraction. I was feeling better enough that a distraction helped me actually feel better. So I was pleased about that. But
yeah. Oh, for anybody who wants to know, so this Pomodoro Sprint timer is made by Inimitable Books. That is the first time I've said it right on the first try. But on the left side is what is released, and actually kind of cutting into it. So we got the Legionnaire, Down the Well, Storm Gatherers. Devil's Waltz was just released on 29 February or 28 February. It's a blur. And then the next one that's about to be released, I think on the 5th, is the Heirs
of Bone in the Sea.
Of the Bone in the Sea. Yeah. So we got you. And
don't forget to pre-order your copies and register them because you get goodies for like every single book.
So we're in an author chat, and every single one of these has, even ours, has planned pre-order goodies. So
do it.
Sometimes it's like bookmarks, stickers, because let's face it, we like stickers, which is why we put it on the cover of ours. It's stickers.
Yeah.
We know our market. So
we know what we want too.
Yeah, true. That's really what it was. Like, we didn't actually write to the market. We were like, we want this. And then everyone else like, no, I want that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we actually got a few as many pre-orders as we have. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Some people like this. Okay.
I mean, we knew that, but it's also like there's a difference between knowing that and also people being like, absolutely, yes, please. So
yes.
we appreciate y'all. It makes our hearts happy.
So yeah. And actually I'm trying to get more stickers just because there's a sticker I really want, which is an asterisk, pros not included.
Yes. Yes.
Which I just think I love it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I'm gonna put that on like my laptop or something.
You absolutely should. So for our draft, what are you going to draft this time?
Okay, so the scene that's happening is that my main characters have just learned that their guardianship of the children could be threatened. And it was the social worker that was like, oh yeah, well, since your guardianship's being contested, and they're like, what? But it's said in like a flippant manner, like, yeah, well, you already know, you were served the papers when they haven't been yet. So now we're about to go into the conversation of what in the actual is going on, and them going like, what do you mean it's contested? What does this mean for us? Like, what do we have to do and stuff? So and then through this, it is going to be found. I think I'm going to have an interruption at the door of them actually being served papers. And so then they're going to be, so it's going to be, the beginning part is like guessing, then served, interruption, and then reading the paper and going, oh, like what is going
this
on?
Is real. You weren't just
and now they have a better idea of what they have to do. And it might increase the odds. Actually, now this talking through works. I got an idea.
Okay. Love it.
We're going to get through it. So we'll say my chapters, I usually try to make like 1,000 words, which is not going to happen in 25 minutes.
That's fine. But you'll make progress.
Yeah. All right. What about you? Talk through it.
Mine is a werewolf. In my story, he is on the council. So on the council, the council is 9 characters. I have an angel, a ghost, a human, vampire, elf, a demon,
it's
giant,
the UN of the supernatural,
werewolf, and fairy. Fae.
I love it.
So I've already done a bit of background for the angel. I have started drafting as the ghost. The human, I haven't written anything for, but I have stuff for the vampire. I have background.
Wait, the vampire you were telling me about, the like little sassy and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yep. That's him. And so I'm trying to fill in background for each of them because they're going to be they're all in the first story. It's just depending on what degree. So I want to have a little bit of them built out just so the interactions are clear because they're probably each going to get their own book. Why am I like this? I don't know, because that's definitely 9 books. We'll see how it goes. Some of them may be like, alternating chapters or whatever, but they're all going to be
voiced.
voiced.
All of us authors, like, Ever since I heard Zara said that she compiled a list of like 45 books in her head, I was like, oh, okay, I feel better.
It's not just you.
Yeah, like this is normal.
So I'm the werewolf. I think I'm going morally gray, but also people call him the pup because he's a new pack leader who's also stepping into the position on the council fairly recently. So there's got to be some background of who the previous
and how did he go into this leadership? Was it legit? Is there question?
Right. And the biggest thing is they call him the pup. They don't take him seriously. So what does that look like? And then we already know from a previous interaction where, he's dealing with the vampire that there's a general lack of respect for him. And he's fastidious about his appearance because he has a concern about, how people perceive him as far as like his presentation. Does he like smell bad? Does he look bad? Like how, like that side of it. He's a little bit vain.
Also take into account as a werewolf, like how does he change? Does he care if his clothes get ripped, or is he able to, like, are the clothes also morphed too or something, like,
Right. And so that's my intention, is to address those kinds of things. So it doesn't have to necessarily be fully narrative, but I do want it to address those kinds of things about his personality and background.
That's what I've learned through like all the writing, reading, and everything, is that the author knows way freaking more. They develop so much stuff, and the book is this much.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm approaching, and I want to be. There's going to be other characters, of course.
Yeah.
But the big thing
right now you're fleshing out the werewolf. Yeah. And I'm really curious what his age is, because part of me wants him to be like in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But since he's new to all the paranormal side of the house or whatever, he's like, it makes me think of like someone who's structured and in their life, they know what they're doing, thrown into this new life, and they're trying to still have that structure, but you can't.
Yeah. So I guess
treated this way.
There is a lot of that, and that was part of what I did in the timeline that I put together in World Anvil. So most of the characters have been on the council for a really long time. Even the humans has been on the council longer than the werewolf. His name is Hayden, by the way. So most of them have been on the council longer than Hayden. The only people who are newer to the council is the Fae girl and the devil. So he's only been on the council for 4 years. So even though he's been there for a little while, compared to the vampire who's been on the council for over 1,000 years. Yeah, so there's that kind of contrast, because there's 3 characters who've been on the council. I believe 3 characters. Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm constantly referring back to my little notes that I have. Like I had to plan out, okay, when did my main characters originally get married? When did the main character's sister get married? When were the kids born? How old was the main character when they were born? And stuff like that.
Yeah, so the new World Anvil timelines are really good for that. So there are 3 characters who've been on the council since the beginning, which is 1,035 years ago. So yeah, he's dealing with a lot of insecurity around that and being a new packmaster and all that stuff. So trying to capture that in his experience.
So he could have a lot of turmoil, because it could be also his pack turmoil of having a new packmaster and learning that dynamic, and then also being on the council where he's like, so it's leader over here and then follower over here, and trying to find the balance.
Yeah. So that's my objective in this flash fiction, is to capture that part.
Yeah, you can totally be able to get that done in 25 minutes. No problem.
Absolutely. No problem at all. And this is where all
Right.
the practice, the years of practice we've had writing flash fiction will hopefully come into play.
Well, and right now we've been able to talk through it. We both have like things brewing in our minds, just like having that talk
Yeah.
out loud.
Oh yeah. Talking
Even
through
if
it
you're not
helps so
talking
much.
to another person, talk to the wall.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Sometimes I'll just like dictate on my phone, put on like open up Google Keep and just turn on narration or dictation and just start talking, and it just like voice to
That's smart.
text everything that I'm thinking. And then some of it is good, some of it is like I just needed to say that out loud.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. You're not having chocolate chips, dude. Go get it like a fruit snack or something, or a bag of chips. Okay, we'll tackle that in a minute. All right, ready?
Ready. We will begin in 3, 2, and 1.
No, as always. I only got 417 words, but I'm heading down a path. I'm not even in where I need to be. I ended up going a little bit of a different direction.
I made a lot of progress. I got 804 words.
Of course you did.
I have a new character that I need to name, and this is all internal monologue. There's no dialogue or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's exactly what it needs to be. There's definitely more that I need to add to this, but I know the character a lot better now, and
yeah,
pretty excited about that.
So, I got a situation of in the morning, the main characters are like whispering. Well, one is, the other one's like keeps on glancing at the stairs to make sure that the kids aren't coming down while they're talking about guardianship being contested. And so the girl is like cleaning out the one of the kids' backpacks, and she's just like not even paying attention. And as she's cleaning out, there's a rip because she's not even taking the papers out of the binder or whatever. It's just pulling to clean out the backpack. And at that moment, the youngest girl, Jessie, she's 7, comes down the stairs and goes, "My drawing!" Totally flips out, sees that it's partially ripped, and goes, "It's ruined," and shoves it in the trash can. And at that point, the main character's like holding the backpack, still ends up like just frozen. And the guy comes up holding the lunchbox, also frozen, like watching this kid have a meltdown over a drawing. And the kid just stomps back, grabs her backpack without zipping it, snatches the lunchbox, goes out the door to get on the bus. And they're just frozen. And they're like, what the hell? And so the guy goes and grabs the paper. And this is where my, like I'm at, if anybody was watching, I had the facial reactions that my characters did as it's coming up in my mind. And the drawing is of 4 people. They see 4 people at the bottom. One is clearly the little girl. One is clearly the older brother. And the 2 in the middle have brown curly hair. And the main character's like, "Oh, Trina and Greg." And the Jared, her separated husband, goes, "No, I think that's supposed to be us," and points to the top of the page where there's 2 angels, like 2 people with wings over. And I'm like, as I'm writing it, I'm like,
oh, that's so sad. But also, we as readers would realize that the fit has literally nothing to do with the drawing.
Yeah.
It's about like everything else happening, and it's like
exactly.
That was the straw.
And like for me, thinking of where this tear is and stuff, because it's tears are never cleanly between 2 figures. No, so I'm like, the cut across one character's left leg and the other's head, and split one of the angels in half, and everything. And it was only partially torn before, but through Jessie's fit, as she was shoving around, it ended up being 2 separate pieces. So I'm also trying to think of how to remedy that, like put it in a shadow box or something. I don't know.
From your suggestion, I did go a little bit into what I started to get into at the end was how the werewolf transforms and how he has to be careful because he's used to being like away from people in the woods with his pack. And now he lives in a more populated area, and how he went from like as a kid, you know, the first time he turned was in a village area, and what happened, and how he has that like background fear. And then, you know, going from a place of freedom to now again being around people where he's fearful of what's going to happen when he turns. And so like the precautions that he takes, but how he's very secretive. So like people view him as kind of being like stuck up and like hoity-toity, about things, but then also it turns out like he's got his own reasons for that, and it's completely the opposite of what people think. So
I love it when you can plan out like the motivation and it's logical. Like it's like for villains, you can't just have a villain being evil for evil's sake. Not like what happened to them, who hurt them.
Yeah. And so I'm having fun with it. I definitely want to write some more. I think this will probably actually develop into maybe even a chapter. The one thing I do have to do is name the previous werewolf who was on the council. And
well, what you could do, just look up the time period.
It's fantasy, so
like full on fantasy.
Yeah, I'm kind of winging it with everyone, but the current werewolf on the council, his name is Hayden Ransom, and I think also it's kind of the previous werewolf was like the old lion kind of situation. Only everyone left him alone, not because he was in a fit place to rule, but because nobody wanted the responsible that taking him out would cause. The responsibility that taking him out would bring down on that person. But like now you take him out, you replace him, and now all this burden is yours. So
there was I've been reading a story. It's called "When Women Rule the World," and it's an evaluation about the top like women kings of.
I just read that.
Oh, sweet! This is why we're friends. What I found interesting, I didn't fully know, is that when a king dies, like tons of people die with them. Like they're killed. 2 seconds, buddy. And I found that interesting. And it's not just who they think will be the rival for the next king, but also like just, hey, this was my favorite person.
Yeah. Like literally anybody who was too close to the previous ruler is. And then also like their servants and like, you know, it's like, oh, that was his nanny when he was a baby, and they're like, yep, her too. It's like
yeah, like one of the guys got 587. And I'm like, that just makes me not want to be close to anybody. Like,
right? Yeah, that book was eye-opening in a lot of ways. So
I knew we had some take. I'm on.
That's funny though.
Yeah, that is really funny because I mean, honestly, like historical books are not like on the top of most people's list, and you and I are like, yeah, sure.
Well, I also have this rule. I try to read one nonfiction book for every 8 books that I read.
Oh, that's smart.
So I think I'm actually one behind right now, but
I try to trickle it in. I got a few nonfiction ones that you can pick from for my January reads list and my February. Definitely trigger warnings and everything. Like the one That Ain't Right. It's read by a father-son duo, and it's a situation of a gun going off, and it wasn't heard of at the time. And it turns out the corporation of the gun, like they actually had internal documents of like, yeah, I know this is faulty, but we're going to keep building it. Oh, and wow. This kid went to jail for like over 5 years.
For something that he didn't do. Well, he was holding the gun, but he never pressed the trigger. And how that affected the entire family. And it's rough. When it should have actually been a lawsuit for how the gun was manufactured, and they knew that there was a problem with it.
Yeah, and they didn't find out until after the kid. And it was a whole dynamic between the father and son. And there is some religious aspects to it, but I think if you just remove the religion from it and just look at it as the father had to come to this analysis on his own, and the powers that be just kind of worked out to give him this reflection and everything. It's a little bit easier to digest because I'm not a fan of like pushing our religion down anyone's throat. But it's done in a way that it's okay here. So it's just that guy's process. But yeah, it's a short read too.
I'll have to look at that because I do need to read another historical or nonfiction book.
Yeah.
But
I agree, just even like for me, most of my nonfictions are actually usually memoirs or even full-on biographies or something. I just like to experience someone else's life, like to expose myself to, I've lived mine, but to expose myself to how other people have lived and what they have gone through. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, in other news, I have walked, we gotta wait like 20 seconds for that. I've been walking this whole time. And usually my goal is like 5 miles. This will be the first time I've walked in March, but I have walked, I talked too long and now it's going to go back around. I have walked over 2.75 miles.
Oh, that's awesome.
You
crushed it.
So almost to 5, which is usually my goal. And then I plan to get a shower after this. And who knows what I'll do is for that last 2.25 miles, I'll maybe finish this chapter.
Yeah, do it. I'm going to get a snack after this and then I have a call. And then I need to like do some stuff around the house.
I'm excited for our stories.
Yeah, me too. I'll probably send you this later and be like, look what I did.
Okay. How close are you to, thank you. How close are you to like finishing? Like where are you at on it? Like finishing the first book?
Oh,
because I was thinking about a nice little like writing competition thing where we like, I don't know which one of us like finishing the writing first what we would win.
Oh, let me see if I can. I'm trying to create a little bit more organization here. Okay, so this is a short story. That's a short story. That's a short story. That's a short story. Okay, so I've actually drafted a book in the series, but I'm probably going to do a rewrite because I've changed my approach. So this doesn't happen till much later. Other than that, I started what I've got as Untitled Book 1 in the series, and I have like 2-ish chapters written, just under 2,000 words.
Okay, and I'm a little bit further with 11,000, but I still have like, I'm not even halfway through the days yet.
Yeah. So a friendly competition is what you're suggesting?
Yeah. I don't know what we would win, but I feel like that will be like, we're both we like competition a little bit. And even it could just be bragging rights and everything.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
The other person.
What are we racing to? What's our deadline?
Oh, I was going to say against each other, but
like just who finishes first?
Yeah.
I will also say fantasy usually has over 100,000 words. So
yeah. So what we can do is that mine isn't just finished, but it's me going back through and rereading it.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take it. So I have to finish my manuscript and you have to finish yours and reread it.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take that. You heard it here first, folks.
Because mine's probably initially is probably going to be like 30-something thousand words.
Yeah, we should post to Instagram what our
progress is.
Yeah. Well, not just our progress, but our challenge. And then we do
a progress bar each week.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. And people can vote for us just to make just to stir the pot. We should do it. Let's do it.
Yes. Oh my God, this is great.
I will say too, the first book was let me see, because I did it on my NaNoWriMo website. So the first project I did 90,000 words. So the first one I did.
So it definitely makes more sense for me to write and then reread. Because even if I get to like 50,000 words, it still would make more sense for me to reread mine.
So I think that'll be my goal. I'm going to try to hit about 90,000 words because I feel like I still underwrote a lot in that. And granted, this is a different story, so I'm going to shoot for around 90,000 words.
Okay. And then for me, I would love to get to 60 once after I'm done editing and everything.
Yeah.
It was like a good safe area. I need to find out the word count for like the Devil's Waltz and Down the Well and stuff. Like and the Legionnaire, like they're kind of like a good thickness, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that. We'll post a graphic on it, and we'll also post what our challenges to each other, just as an accountability challenge.
Accountability / just fun competition. Because listen, we're both ADHD. We strive on creating competition and like beat the timer and stuff. So
just as an FYI as well, our next stream will be April 14th at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be on Natalie's channel next time. And yeah, we'll keep you posted on our challenge and how we're doing.
And that it'd be kind of cool if we were done by then, but I doubt it because life happens.
Yeah. Oh gosh, if I finish 90,000 words by then, can you imagine? I'm
gonna question if you sleep. Honestly, I'd be like, how many of those Celsius / like coffee things do you have?
Yeah,
I know, look for your trash.
That would be wild, especially because this has taken me on so many tangents already. And the other one I drafted straight through. I did 50,000 for the April nano and 40,000 for the July nano.
The camp,
so yeah, that was full 60 days to do that much. So can you imagine? Yeah. That's not too rough, but it would be.
I was able to write 60 something thousand in like 28 days. But that was like, I've been thinking about that story for 5 years and mulling over and everything, and then just finally blurted out. And so that's what started me on AuthorTube.
Fair.
And that book's still there.
Well, let's go for it. We'll update. We'll post our schedules and stuff. You know, we always post reminders and everything, especially since we've switched from Saturdays to Sundays. But I think with that, we're ready to wrap up for today.
Divide and conquer now.
Yeah.
The games begin. May the odds ever be in your favor.
Yeah. Well, I think
you're pressing the button.
You press the button. I'll play the outro because we have a book coming out. Don't you forget it.
Yes.
All right.
I did forget. It doesn't seem real. So, all right.
You're hitting the button.
Yeah, I'll hit end but you got to hit the thing first, and then I'll hit. Okay.
Here we go.
Everybody.
Yeah.